Hey, at the end of this podcast, right at the end, we got 99% of the podcast recorded. There was a technical difficulty, meaning I probably screwed up. And so it cuts off abruptly. I'm sorry about that. Pat did an incredible podcast, so enjoy the podcast. Welcome to the Live Compelled podcast. This is Nate Ellerton, and I'm here with Pat Hogan in my wood carving shop in downtown Temperance, Michigan. Hey, Pat, welcome to the shop.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And welcome to the podcast. We've been doing a series called Stories where I've just been interviewing people, hearing how they came to Christ, hearing what God has been showing them. And the purpose of it is to encourage you, but also so you'd share this episode with somebody that needs the Lord or somebody that is seeking truth in life, and that someone's story of how they came to Christ would encourage them. But I know it'll be an encouragement to you. And so with me is a longtime friend. We go all the way back to before we even moved here. And Pat and Mary Ellen Hogan were the first couple that came to, back then, Bedford Christian Community.
That's right.
But before we dive into all that, Pat, tell us a little bit about you and your family.
All right. Yeah, I'm currently retired.
Good job.
Yeah, made it. My wife and I moved back here. We retired in California. We worked for the government. Long story how we got to that point, but we just retired back. We live in Genoa, and we're coming back to the church after like 15 years, I think, and coming back to where it all started. So I've got 4 kids, bunch of grandkids. Life's good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, when I met you, we hadn't even we haven't even moved down here yet. You had made a call to the Michigan district office to see if there was an Assembly of God church in this area. So I know before that, the Lord was moving into your life. Like, share a little bit of how you found Christ and what you were like before you found Christ, maybe, and then how God came into your life.
Yeah. It's a great story. I mean, everybody's testimony is great in its own way, but so I worked for Pepsi in Detroit, and it was a brand new facility, and they set us up on the quote unquote Japanese principle. So you operated, you maintained, and you cleaned your equipment through 3 shifts. And as part of that system, we also helped with hiring and firing and training and just everything. And I was on we were hiring like for 3 positions, putting in a new line, and I was on the hiring committee. And so they teamed a manager with an employee. And so we interviewed for a couple days, and a particular fella came in that when I interviewed him, he had actually worked as a temporary employee out in the recycle area. Mm-hmm. And I was a little hard on him because I thought he should have at least tried to clean himself up before he came in. He was still dirty. He was a mess. Mm-hmm. And he was very flippant with his answers, not in a disrespectful way, but just in a, I guess the Midwestern in me said that he should be a little more humble and a little more driven to try and get this job. It seemed like he didn't really care to me. Mm-hmm. So I didn't rate him real well. At the end of the interview sessions, we all came back together, and I think there was 10 of us, and then started comparing scores. Mm-hmm. This particular fellow, I torpedoed him. I think he had like a 5 out of 100 or something. I mean, I just tried to make it where he couldn't get hired. And but everybody else loved him. So he ended up actually being like the number 2 choice, and he took the position. And I'm like, oh, well, somebody will have to deal with that guy, Mm-hmm. And that somebody was me. He got assigned to my department, and I was the trainer for my department. So right away, once he started, he came to work his first day with a Bible in his hand, and I'm like, oh yes, I'm going to have some fun with this guy, because I didn't believe, and I had no background in Christianity or any religion for that matter. We just didn't do it. And so long story short, as I'm training him, I find him to be actually a very nice guy and smart, was picking up the stuff quickly. And I have a little bit of a sense of humor, so I would try and trip him up and play around, ask all those crazy questions like, can God create a stone that's too heavy for him to lift? And, just that kind of stuff. And
Good question.
the thing, right, the thing that kind of drew me more to him is he never tried to BS me with anything. He just, if he knew the answer, he could pull it right out of the Bible and show it to me. And if he didn't, he would tell me, I really don't know the answer to that. And that was so unexpected for me because I just assumed there would be just an attitude of, you got to believe me kind of a thing, just to BS me. And so honestly, he trained for 90 days and the last day before he was to do his test, his actual written test and everything, it was a Friday. And I asked him something. I don't even remember what it was, a dinosaur question or something. And he's like, he goes,
it's always the dinosaurs.
But he's like, Pat, what you really need to do is you just need to get alone somewhere and you just pray and ask Jesus to come into your heart. And if something happens, then you know it's real. And if nothing happens, you come in Monday and tell me. And I'm like, oh yeah, and laughed it off. So Sunday evening, I was, getting ready for bed and I'm, 3 young kids and, just crazy house. And the only place I can get any peace and quiet is in the bathroom. So Standing at the sink, I'm like, do I want to do that? Do I really want to do that? Yeah, I'm going to do it. It'll be something to have fun with on Monday when I go back into work. And never been to church, never prayed, didn't really know how to do it, but I saw on TV, you kneel and you cross your hands and all that. And so I did that. The toilet was the only altar type thing sitting there. So I just, put my elbows on there and I'm like, okay, Jesus, if this is real, come be my Lord. And for any of your guests that are saved, they know, when you invite God in, things change. Mm-hmm. And the wave of peace and, just the supernatural calmness that comes with that was like nothing I'd ever experienced. Mm. So I went back into work Monday and he was already there. When I came around the corner to where we worked at, he looked at me and goes, you prayed that prayer. I'm like, yeah, I did. How'd you know? He goes, you can see it in the way you're walking. I'm like, no. And so then this fella, mentored me, through my first few months. I was going up every Sunday. He went to St. Clair Shores Assembly of God. Yeah. And I was driving up there on Sundays to go to church with him. And Mary Ellen, my wife, started coming with the kids. And she gave her heart to the Lord on Christmas Eve service. Wow. So with all that being said, we decided going up there every week, from Temperance was a little much. So see if we could find something close to home. And we just started visiting the churches around here. And we had went to one of the local churches here, and it was real similar to what we were kind of used to, and thought, well, maybe that's the place. And so as we went home, I'm like, I'm going to call the district just to see if there's anything. Unbeknownst to me, there was an AG church literally like 5 miles in Ohio, but I never knew it was there. I think it's a God thing. I really do. Mm-hmm. Called, got a hold of Hugh Duncan, and explained the situation. He's like, there's a guy. He's coming down there to plant a church, and he gave me your phone number. Yeah. And we hooked up, and the rest is history. For richer or for poorer, we've been together. Yeah. And
it's such an amazing sovereign hand of God on a guy that you didn't even want to work with. Yep. Was the guy that the Lord used to change your whole life. Yeah.
Everything about it changed with that. And, once I left Pepsi, we left the area to take other positions, and he also did. And we kind of lost track of each other, and we actually reconnected last year.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Yeah. It was just like nothing ever changed. Like we had seen each other yesterday kind of a thing. Awesome. It was very, very cool. God still has his hand in that relationship. Yeah. And I believe he still has his hand in our relationship. Right. And, it's just been a good ride.
Yeah. So when we planted the church and Wendy and I came down here, literally it was us, Pam and Mike, mm-hmm. you and Mary Ellen. Mm-hmm. If I knew no one else was coming to something, I knew there'd be 6 at least, and our kids.
That's right.
And being a new Christian, joining a new church that had pretty much nothing. We had nothing to offer.
I just
we didn't have a building. We didn't have a broom.
I just knew it was right. Me and Mary Ellen prayed about it, and and I think there was a few different things God used. We're similar in age. And I was pretty outgoing. And so when you're like, hey, can you pray for this? I'd be like, sure. Or, hey, we're going to go to the trade fair. Are you want to help? Yeah, sure. Cause I didn't have any preconceived notions about what a Christian is and isn't. And so when I read the Bible for the first time, it was all new to me. I remember, Christmas Eve service that first year when Mary Ellen got saved, singing Christmas carols in church and realizing that they were actually about Jesus. I never put that together before. That's how unchurched I was. Wow. And so it just, I don't know. It was just the way it was supposed to be. God was always involved, and I just knew. You know the touch of God on things, and I was talking to a fellow the other day that we, talking about how we grew in the bingo hall. Right. I mean, that, God was involved in that.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe anybody came.
It was like we were having church in an ashtray. It was terrible.
Seriously. Oh man, that was back when people could still smoke. For our younger listeners, like they smoked and played bingo, and we had to air the place out, and which we never really was completely successful doing.
No, just smelled like orangey cigarettes.
Orange spray and smoke and cigarettes, and I think we got to like 50 people over there.
Yeah, we grew. So, your whole first board ended up joining at that point in our development, and it was just, God was involved. And when God's involved in something, it's pretty easy to also be involved.
Right.
And that's how it was for me. And so, nothing was too big. Nothing was too little. It was just, God needs it done. Let's do it.
Yeah. We got to walk through, I was here painting, part-time and doing that. And you were working at Pepsi, and then, seeing God's hand as we started running the Episcopalian church and all the odd interactions we had there. and then them dissolving and the church not wanting to sell, and then seeing the church sell and raising that money. Like, I can't tell you what an encouragement you and Mary Ellen were those first few years that we knew. We had you guys, we had the Hardys, we had some other key families, but you guys were at everything. You did everything.
Yeah.
Helped Rick when he started the youth group.
Yeah.
And
just, I didn't know this at the time. I know this now. But if you feel disjointed or lonely or, in search of something, go where God's working. When you go where God's working, you will find happiness.
So, and I know we did the Henry Blackaby study that first year. To experiencing God, which is what we were doing when God solidified our call to come down here. And I remember that I was trying to think, like, I'm not going down there to start something, God is already working. Then getting a call from Hugh saying there's a guy that's going to call you. Him and his wife are looking for an Assembly of God church. And I told Wendy, you're never going to believe it. I got this number to this guy who's looking for an Assembly of God church in Temperance. And she said, see, God is already working there.
Yeah.
And God had already been working on you, and he was already working in this area.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've been asked many times, how did you plant the church in Bedford? I can tell you methods. There are things like that you just have zero control over.
Right.
I mean, how you were getting saved in Pepsi, a couple other key family members were in transition. The growth of this area at that time was exploding.
It was. And that,
when Proposal A passed and everyone's property taxes dropped and Ohio was flooding over and all the subdivisions, and it was God was already at work.
He absolutely was. Yeah.
So let me take you back, Pat. There's something you did, and I don't think I've ever asked you this question. Maybe I did back then. I don't remember. but you came down once. You said, I need a key to the church. And I said, okay, cool. I'll give you a key. What do you do? And he goes, I just need to go there every morning and read the Bible out loud. And you went there for months, maybe more than months, maybe a year. And you went there early in the morning before you even went to work. And you read the Bible out loud.
Yeah.
To yourself.
Yeah.
As part of your disciples. Like, how did that come about? I just thought back then, I'm 30. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But looking back now, I'm like, that's a discipline that is being taught in the books laying on this table. It's, I don't think Richard Foster talked to you back then, told you to do it.
No. I just, it was just one of those things I felt led to do. I wish I could give you this epiphany, that I had, but it was just, I just felt that that's what I needed to do. I needed to do my, I had this thought, and actually I still do this. I still do that every morning. But I had this thought that hearing it audibly would sink into my spirit better. That's probably just a personal thing, but it does. It helps me to retain what I read. It helps me. It helps me to feel like I'm praying the scripture.
Yep.
And I still do that every morning as part of my.
Thinking back now, I don't think you were going to work. I think you just came home from work.
Did
you work nights?
Yeah, I worked nights.
Right.
So I would swing in after work, and I wish I had the what's the word I'm looking for? The carefree ability to just do something when God tells me to do it that I had then.
Right.
I still am I try to be very obedient.
Right.
But back then, if I felt God told me to do something, I just did it.
Right.
And never questioned it. And that was one of those things. I just felt, if I do this, I'm going to just absorb more of the Lord. I wanted the Holy Spirit's work in my heart and in my life. And
neuroscience proves it. You saw it, you read it, you spoke it, you heard it.
Yeah.
You used a lot of senses in that, like reading out loud like that.
Yeah, I there's nothing I ever really, was thinking about in that manner. I just
go back to second grade and we moved our lips. We got slapped upside the head by Mrs. Weeks, like read quietly, don't move your lips. And now you should not only move your lips, you should say it out loud in your mind and heart and spirit. And then you were even practicing a form of Lectio Divina. You were praying the scripture.
Yeah, I didn't know it then, and I actually hadn't really heard that term until I moved back here last year. It very informally,
right.
There's the structure is a little more free flowing than some of the teachings, but, I feel God in it better that way.
Yeah.
And so that's just how I've done it. I've never been a really great reader. So that took some time and it's helped me to improve that way too, scientifically, I guess. But, that's just how I do it.
Yeah. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And so in anybody's Christian life, you got seasons. Speak to someone listening that is in a season of dryness or a season where they love the Lord. It's in their heart, but just the motivation or the connection. I know you experienced that season. Like, how could you encourage?
What I would say is it's one of those times where you have to, that's one of those times where you have to put your feelings aside. Been there, like you said, where it was dry, I kind of drifted away a little bit and never stopped believing, knew God was still God. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. My mantra was, I'm a Christian, I'm just not a great one. Mm-hmm. And, I'd get a chuckle out of that from somebody. But the reality is, when you start feeling dry, when you start feeling like worshiping is a chore, the best thing you can do is draw closer. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Find a mentor, find somebody that can maybe help you in this season to maybe redirect you a little bit. Somebody that you can just vent to. Sometimes, like in my case, the stuff that caused me to drift away was really just all stuff in my own head. It was my own interpretation of things that really wasn't happening. And, I started taking offense to a couple of things that I shouldn't have. But I didn't know that then. On hindsight, I can look back and go, oh, yeah, that was dumb. But then it seemed very real.
Sure.
And if I would have had a person at that point that I felt I could do that with, might have completely ended right then and there. But that's the key. It really is just draw in closer. When you feel distant, draw in closer. When you feel close, draw in closer. It is really the answer for it all. The one thing, having that time where I, drifted a little bit, coming back, I have a sense of depth and gravity of what sin really is now that I didn't really have in the beginning. I got saved and I understood Jesus, saved me from my sin, but I don't think I really had the depth of knowledge of what sin really means to God. Every sin is worthy of death. Not just, there's no little sins. There's no big sins, there's no little sins. It's all bad. Coming back in, drawing back in and rededicating myself to the Lord helped me to understand that in a way that not in a condemnation sort of way, but in a way that has deepened my relationship. It's the sacrifice of Christ is so much more. It has so much more meaning to me. I knew his sacrifice and all of that, but the depth of emotion and just the depth in my spirit that I feel now, I didn't have before. So if there's a good thing about falling away, it was that.
Yeah.
But if I had my druthers, I would have just stayed.
Sure.
But life happens. Yeah. And there was a series of events where, as that was happening, economy crashed, lost my job, ended up leaving. So it was kind of a double whammy. I didn't even have a chance really to rekindle things with the people I know and love here. I was, scurried away.
Right.
And that's okay. The devil tried, but God won.
Right. So it's kind of like you weren't here for 15 years. God brought you and Mary Ellen back to the area, which we are, so excited about. What does it feel like for a non-pastor? You're definitely a minister, and you've always ministered, but a non-professional pastor to walk into something like we have now, knowing that had it not been for you and Mary Ellen, I don't know that it would have, your fingerprints are on almost everything in that place. Do you get any sense of the blessing of that for you guys? Or?
I'm proud of that.
Uh-huh.
And at the same time, since, coming back and all of that, my desire now actually is to just be humbly quiet in the background.
Yeah.
Working, before young and robust and, and now, so there's definitely a pride in that, but a pride I don't really want. I want to save my treasure in heaven, for lack of a better way to say it, but yeah, it's very cool. I remember, God telling me when we were going to get that church, it's like, that church is yours. And they had just told you they weren't going to sell. And
you told me, no, God told me we were going to get it.
Yep.
I prayed. I really feel it's ours. And I was just like, good for you. I was just like, whatever. They just told me flat out terms. They're putting it on the market.
Yeah.
Bulldozing down the church and making a subdivision.
Yep.
And, I'm glad you were speaking some faith, because I didn't have it at that point.
Yeah, it's God has blessed me. Pete Gregg uses a term. It's it's being spiritually inclined, and I don't say that as a bragging kind of way, but I've just always been able to hear God. I don't know why, I just have, and it's God's told me a few things throughout the years, and they've come true. And it's the other morning, I'll share with you actually. I was praying, and I'm like, I was just, God, I'm so sorry. Sometimes I still doubt. He's given me a word a couple of times for the church, for Sunday morning, and I haven't given it because I was concerned how it would be taken. And he just told me, he's like, Pat, it's okay. He goes, the apostles lived with me for 3 years, and they still had doubts. I'm like, man, that's pretty cool.
Lord's good, isn't he?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's a good life. And the overriding theme for this last year for me is just, draw in. When you think you're close, draw in more. And that's really it, man. Abide in the Lord.
Right. Our Holland location is rolling off, and they're pretty much going to be a church. They're a church now, pretty much. But, they're going to plant in a school. We're not renewing that lease. Pastors Matt and Mandy have their Pat and Mary Ellen surrounding them.
Good.
And they have their, Lois and Dan Dietzers and Bill and Ann Liggett. They got that group. I could mention other people. What would you say to them? Because they're going to be in a school. We were in a bingo hall. We were in a rented church. We were out again. Then we were in. We didn't know what was going to happen. They said they were going to sell. Yet through it all, that core group remained unified. And we saw it through. What would you say to just encourage that team, and specifically in Holland, that's with Pastors Matt and Mandy, as they jump out to be their own church? Is there anything that comes to mind or heart? I
think the main thing for me is they need to be a family. They need to be, communicate very well. They need to be on the same page. And if they have, talk about things, and, Matt has a vision. He has to communicate that well, and he probably has. But I'm thinking back to us. You communicated your vision, and we all were on board, and so we did what it took to make that happen. And I would say the same for them: be a family, look out for each other, and be on board, and do what you got to do to make it happen. Yeah. It's a sacrifice, but God will bless it.
Yeah, I think of all that stuff we did from. It wasn't just like showing up; like it was manual labor.
Yep,
we were walking in parades and moving tents and putting up tents and making floats, and
even just taking the bingo hall down and setting it back up,
which is what they're going to be doing at a school. It's just work. Like, we're tired on Sunday too. Like, it was my job. I was a little flexible. You all had to go to work that night on Sunday night.
That's the key. They have to be sold out. They have to be really all in. Yeah. If they're not all in, not as a bad, I don't say this is a bad thing, but if they're not all in, they need to maybe step aside and let someone who is all in. And, keep praying, keep doing what you can do.
Right.
But they got to be. think about how much time we were together that first year. Almost daily we saw each other.
Right.
And
I just remember so much joy was involved.
Yeah.
When we get together, Mike and Pam were there. That core group.
Yeah.
There was so much laughter and joy, and it was almost like the Acts 2 church.
Yeah. Well, that was.
We're in awe, like everything. Guess what happened? Somebody's going to donate this, and it was like laughing, like we knew God was going to keep doing stuff.
Yeah.
And enjoying His presence. We'd worship for 3 hours on Friday night.
Yeah. And that's exactly.
Just loved every second.
Right.
Nobody was trying to get home
Exactly.
It was just a great time. It was a great season of church planting.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about the abrupt ending. That's the end of it. Thanks for listening to the Live Compelled podcast. If you would you share this and follow Live Compelled? I'm going to continue to do some stories here for the next several weeks. So thanks a lot, and make sure to live compelled.